Assalamu alaikum, dear student. Today I will teach you about Heraclitus. About Heraclitus. Firstly, I am describing I am describing this matter. Then you will ask any questions and it inbox me. I hope I will answer your questions. Do not disturb me when I am speaking. So be aware about this matter. Heraclitus, Greek, a Greek philosopher, dissatisfied with earlier effort to compare the word Heraclitus psychology, earned the reputation as the writer by the delivering his pronouncement in delivery contradictory the structure of causing a statement. He believed mirrors the theoretic structure of the thought, which in turn in parallel to the complex dynamic character of the world itself. Rejecting the Pythagoras idea of harmony as peaceful coexistence, Heraclitus saw the natural world as an environment of perpetual struggle and strife. All is flux, is supposed everything is a changing in world time. Heraclitus thinks everything change all the time by nature. If a man thinks I am not changing, but all the time Heraclitus main things everything is change all the time in the world. With his own word, parallel is complex dynamic character of the world and reacting the Pythagoras as peaceful existence. Heraclitus saw the natural world as an environment of perpetual struggle. All its flux is suppose everything is changing all the world. As Heraclitus is often reported to have said, upon those who step into the same river, different water flow. You know, follow means white, W-I-D-E, white. Follow means white. The tension and conflict which govern everything in our existence moderated only by the operation of the universal principles of proportionally in all things. Against this position, ethics defended the unity and the stability of the universe. The leaders suppose that languages embody the logic of perfect immutability, since everything is what it's and not something else. They are good, it can never correct to say that one and the same thing both has and does not have some feature. So the supposed change from having the feature to not having it utterly impossible. Of course, change does not seem to occur naturally. It created by man with his own hand, he creates change. Firstly, this theme, is it wrong or right? Do you describe? Do you have a student? Do you have any example against this opinion? Pythagoras says the world change naturally, but other philosophers says the world doesn't change naturally. Man change with his own hand. Is it correct or not? Yeah. I haven't here in my earphone. Please again. Yeah. Two philosophers are the famous philosophers in the world in English literature. In spite of it, both opinions are separate. Pythagoras says the world change naturally, but others philosophers says world doesn't change naturally. It is created. Yeah. Student, firstly, you have to think. Once upon a time, we knows about the world round move the sun, but it is universal truth that all things around with its own orbit. Do you read Quran? Do you read Holy Quran? This is a Quranic verse. La shamsi yambagi laha an tudrika al-qamar wa lal-layli sabiqu an-nahar kullun fi falaki yasbahun. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, everything round with its own orbit. Do you know about orbit? Kokobat. So, there are two kind of theory. We can classify any kind of theory. Only two. One is universal truth. Universal truth. Two is theoretical. Theoretical is not a truth fact. A proof which is not a proof. But universal truth is a scientific truth. Pythagoras is a man, though he was a great philosopher in Greek, in spite of it, he was a man. As a man, he wasn't do some wrong. Every man has a bad side or right side. All philosophers, all scientists, all literaturists, or all poet is not as like as a Quranic verse, which is universal truth. It's a Bangla Chirantan Sutto. So you have to earn knowledge from them, but by the scientific way or by the universal truth, you have to prove that it is a correct. Otherwise, you cannot take decision. Other in attacking hilarious Pythagoras argument designed to show the absurdity of this nation that the world is perpetual changing. You know, Gino Ila is a philosopher, in particular, four paradox about motion, covering every possible combination of contrasts, word intervals, the direct motion of single bodies, the really motion of several. One, dictonomy. One, dictonomy. It is impossible to move around this track since we must first go halfway, and before that go half of halfway, and before that half of halfway. It's a space in indefinitely divisible. We have infinity may perpetual distance to cover and cannot get underway in any finite time. I know you have a questions. But after my lecture, I will answer you. Similarly, given a tin matter, here star a tortoise can never be overtaken by Heraclitus in a race, since Heraclitus must catch up to where the tortoise began. But by then the tortoise has moved ahead, must catch up to that new point, and so on. Again, the suspension that things really move led to an infinite regress. Since I am in a chamber, I think for noising you're disturbed, but I am very busy now. In spite of it, I'm taking your class. Listen silently. There, if on the other hand motion occurs in discrete intervals, then at any given movement during its flight through the air and arrows is not moving. But since it is entire flight comprises only such movement, the arrow never moves. And finally, and fourth point, the stadium. Similarly, if three characters of equal length, stationary, and this other traveling in the opposite direction, were to pass by each other at the same time, then each of the supposedly moved on would take only half as long to pass the other as to pass the third maker. Yeah? To pass the other as to pass the third maker. That's the result. In each of this case, Gino concluded show that motion. All of this rise with the questions of one, and they may how can there were any quinine unity, any genuine unity in a world that appears to be multiple. In the next generation, introduce the polarity from the very beginning. Evening in the world is ultimately made of the sum mixture of four elements considered irritable compound or component. If you think it will compound and component. These unique characters of each item depend solely upon the special glance of the four that is present only in it. Change take place because there are two competing forces at work in the world. Is always putting things together, while strife is always creating them apart. The interplay of the two constitute the activity we see in nature. Return is the sum measure of the effort of identity, out of which everything is composed. Indeed, chaotic mass indefinitely divisible in principle, yet in which nothing is difficult but held that order is brought to this mass by the power of mind, the source of explanation by reference the world. It is not clear whether the meant by his use of this word what they would espouse. Here's different kind of opinion in this matter, but you have to know and you have to think not only English literature but also each of the subject has a different kind of opinion about their subject. If you think about Islam has a lot of specialists we may called Mustahid, Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, Imam Hanbali, etc. But their opinion is different. How it is possible? Quran is only one source, only one authentic source. Hadith is only one authentic source. In spite of it, their opinion, why their opinion is separate? Is because each subject and every subject, not only each subject, every subject has a different opinion. According to this philosophy, English literature or Greek literature has a different opinion. Moreover, if you have a question now, you have to ask me in my inbox and end of the loop.